Depression doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes it looks like someone who shows up every day, who handles everything, who smiles at the right moments and says the right things, and who is carrying something heavy underneath all of it that nobody around them can see. If that sounds familiar, this video is for you, because there are 10 silent warning signs of depression that most people never recognize, even in themselves. Most people have a very specific picture of depression in their mind. The person who can't get out of bed, who cries constantly, who is visibly, obviously falling apart in ways that everyone around them can see. But that's only one version, and it's not the most common one. The most common version is quieter than that, more hidden, more functional. It's the person who shows up every single day, who handles their responsibilities, who smiles when smiling is expected and keeps moving when stopping feels impossible, and who is quietly disappearing on the inside in ways nobody around them can see, in ways they may not even fully recognize in themselves. That is the version this video is about, and these 10 signs are the ones that go unrecognized the longest. Before we begin, a quick note. This video is meant to educate and validate, not diagnose. If these signs feel personally relevant, speaking with a mental health professional is always the right next step. Sign 1. Loss of interest or pleasure. The first sign is the one that often goes the longest without being named. Something changed, quietly, gradually, so slowly that you almost didn't notice it happening. The things that used to bring you genuine pleasure, the hobbies, the activities, the people, the small rituals that used to make ordinary days feel worthwhile, stopped feeling like anything. Not all at once, not dramatically, just less, and then less than that, until one day you reached towards something that used to make you feel alive and found that the feeling simply wasn't there anymore. Psychology calls this anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure in things that once brought it. But the clinical word doesn't capture what it actually feels like. It feels like grief, a specific, quiet, confusing kind of grief for a version of yourself who used to care about things, who used to look forward to things, who used to feel something when something good happened. And the most painful part isn't the absence itself. It's not understanding why. You haven't lost anything visible. Nothing obvious has changed. But something inside has gone very quiet in a way that feels permanent, even when it isn't. That silence has a name, and it isn't who you are. Sign 2. Depressed mood nearly every day. This one is harder to describe than most people expect, because it isn't always sadness, not the kind that comes with tears, or a clear reason, or a specific moment you can point to and say that's where it started. It's quieter than that. It's a low, heavy feeling that sits underneath everything, underneath the conversations, the responsibilities, the ordinary moments of an ordinary day. It doesn't announce itself. It just stays, like a weather system that never quite moves on. Sometimes it feels like grief, with no clear loss attached to it. Sometimes it feels like emptiness, a hollowness, where something should be. Sometimes it feels like a hopelessness, so familiar that it stopped feeling like a symptom a long time ago and started feeling like simply the way things are. And here is why this sign gets missed so consistently. It doesn't always look like depression from the outside. It looks like someone who is quiet, serious, hard to reach, someone whose personality is just a little flat, a little distant, a little closed off. Not someone who is suffering, but that persistent low feeling, the one that follows you from morning to night, day after day, is not personality. It is a symptom, and it deserves to be recognized as one. Sign 3. Decrease or increase in appetite. Depression changes your relationship with food, but it doesn't always change it in the same direction, and that's what makes this sign so easy to miss. For some people, food loses all appeal. Hunger signals go quiet. Meals that used to feel enjoyable start feeling pointless. You forget to eat. You eat because you know you're supposed to. not because anything in you actually wants to. For others, it goes the opposite direction entirely. Food becomes one of the only things that provides any relief, any comfort, any sensation that briefly interrupts the numbness. Eating more than usual, reaching for food not because of hunger, but because something in you is looking for a way to feel something or feel less. And the weight changes that follow in either direction carry their own shame, their own quiet self-blame. But here is what matters. Neither of these is a failure of willpower. Neither is a character flaw. Neither is simply bad habits. Both are what depression does to the neurochemical systems that regulate hunger, pleasure, and comfort. This isn't about food. It never was. Sign 4. Always tired, no matter how much you sleep. This isn't the tiredness that sleep fixes. Most people know what ordinary tiredness feels like. You push through a long week, you rest over the weekend, and Monday feels manageable again. The tiredness has a cause. The rest has an effect. This is different. This is waking up after 8 hours of sleep and feeling like you haven't slept at all. This is moving through the day, feeling like every single task, the small ones, the simple ones, the ones that should require almost nothing, cost more energy than you actually have. And the sleep itself becomes unreliable. Some nights you lie awake for hours, exhausted but unable to actually rest, your mind refusing to quiet even when everything in your body is desperate for it. Other times you sleep far too much, using sleep as the only available escape from a waking life that feels too heavy to stay present in. Both leave you depleted, because the exhaustion isn't coming from lack of sleep. It's coming from depression, which draws on the nervous system in ways that rest alone cannot restore. The tiredness is real. It just has a different cause than most people realize. Sign 5. You've pulled away from everyone. You've been saying no more than usual, canceling plans you genuinely intended to keep, leaving messages unread for longer than feels comfortable, choosing to stay home when a few months ago you wouldn't have thought twice about going. And the confusing part is that it doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like survival. Because being around people, even people you love, even people who make no demands of you, requires a kind of energy that simply isn't available right now. The energy to be present, to respond, to hold a conversation, to perform the basic social functions that used to happen automatically. Depression takes that energy first, and what's left doesn't feel like enough to show up for anyone. So you pull back, quietly, gradually, in ways that look, from the outside, like disinterest, or worse, like not caring about the people who are reaching out. But it isn't disinterest. It is depletion. The withdrawal isn't a character flaw. It isn't rudeness. It isn't a reflection of how much you value the people in your life. It is what depression does to the energy that connection requires. And the guilt that follows every unanswered message makes it heavier still. If you're still watching at this point, something in this video is resonating with you. And that matters. This channel, UNFELT, exists for exactly that. For people who are finally finding language for something they've been carrying quietly for a long time. If that's you, subscribe. Hit the bell icon. There's more here that was made for you. Now let's talk about a sign that most people never connect to depression at all. Sign 6. Small things make you angry or emotional. This one surprises people, because when most people think about depression, they think about sadness, about low energy, about withdrawal and emptiness and tears. They don't think about anger. But depression doesn't always present as sadness. Sometimes it presents as a short fuse, a rawness, a feeling of being so close to the surface that the smallest thing, a comment that wouldn't normally register, a minor inconvenience, a tone of voice that lands slightly wrong, sends something in you spiking in a way that feels completely disproportionate to what actually happened. You snap at someone you love, and immediately you don't fully understand why. You feel overwhelmed by something small, and the overwhelm feels embarrassing because the thing that caused it didn't deserve that much. This is emotional dysregulation. And it is one of the most overlooked signs of depression because it looks, from the outside, like a mood problem, a personality issue, a lack of patience or emotional control. But underneath it is a nervous system that is already carrying more than it can hold. The small thing didn't cause the reaction. Depression did. The small thing was simply the last thing. Sign 7. You can't think clearly or make simple decisions. Something has changed about the way your mind works. There's a low, persistent fog that sits over everything. Simple decisions that should take seconds take much longer. Choices that used to be automatic now require effort that feels unreasonable for what's being asked. You read the same paragraph 3 times and retain nothing. You forget what you were saying mid-sentence. You walk into a room and stand there, unable to remember what you came for. And the most damaging part isn't the fog itself. It's what you conclude from it. That you're becoming less capable, less sharp, less able to handle things that you used to handle without thinking. But this isn't incompetence. This isn't laziness. This isn't your intelligence declining. This is what depression does to the brain, disrupting focus, memory, and decision-making in ways that are biological. The fog has a cause, and the cause isn't you. Sign 8. Feelings of worthlessness or excessive guilt. This one is the quietest sign on this list, and the most damaging. It doesn't announce itself as a symptom. It feels like something you have finally understood about yourself, a truth you've arrived at after enough evidence has accumulated, that you are somehow not enough, that you are a burden, that the things that go wrong are connected to something fundamentally flawed in who you are. And it comes with guilt that has no clear proportions. Guilt for things outside your control. Guilt for things that happened years ago. Guilt for needing things. Guilt for simply taking up space. This is not self-awareness. This is what depression does to the way you see yourself. It takes the harshest possible interpretation of who you are and makes it feel like the only accurate one. That feeling is a symptom, not a verdict. Sign 9. You've stopped taking care of yourself. There are things you used to do automatically. Shower. Eat regular meals. Keep your space livable. Return messages. And somewhere along the way, quietly, gradually they started feeling optional, or impossible, or simply not worth the energy they require. Not because you stopped caring about yourself, because the energy required for even the smallest act of self-care stopped being available. Depression isn't laziness. It isn't giving up. It is a depletion so complete that the gap between knowing you should do something and being able to actually do it becomes enormous. And standing at that gap creates its own layer of shame, which makes everything harder. Recognizing it as a symptom, not a moral failure, is the first step toward breaking it. Sign 10. You feel completely alone, even around people. This is the last sign, and for many people, the most painful one. Not the loneliness of being physically alone. It's the loneliness that exists in a room full of people. At a dinner table surrounded by family, in a conversation with someone who loves you, at a gathering where everyone is laughing and something in you is watching from a distance no one else can see. You are there, but you are not there. You can say the right things at the right moments, and still feel underneath all of it completely, quietly, unreachably alone, like there is a glass wall between you and everyone else. This isn't about the people around you. They may love you genuinely and completely. Depression creates this distance, silently, without permission, in ways that have nothing to do with how much you are loved, and everything to do with how depression disrupts the ability to feel that love landing. You are not alone because nobody is there. You are alone because depression made the connection impossible to feel, and that is not permanent. Look at all 10 signs together, and something becomes clear. Depression is not always loud, not always visible, not always the version that announces itself in ways people around you can see and respond to. Sometimes it is quieter than that. Sometimes it is the gradual loss of interest in things that once mattered, the persistent low feeling with no clear cause, the exhaustion that rest doesn't touch, the withdrawal, the irritability, the fog, the worthlessness, the neglect, the loneliness in a crowded room, happening slowly, silently, so gradually that by the time someone recognizes it, by the time they can finally put a name to what they've been living inside, they realize it has been there for a very long time. That recognition is not a defeat. It is the most important moment in the entire experience, because you cannot begin to address something you haven't yet been able to see, and now you can see it. If you recognized yourself in any of these signs, I want you to hear this clearly. This is not a verdict. This is not confirmation that something is permanently, irreparably wrong with you. This is not a label to carry or a sentence to serve. This is information, useful, important, actionable information about what might be happening inside you. Information that most people go years without having access to. And what you do with it matters. Talking to someone, a therapist, a doctor, someone trained to help with exactly. This is not weakness. It is the same quality of intelligence that brought you to this video in the first place. The willingness to look honestly at what's happening and take it seriously. Seeing something clearly for the first time is never the end of something. It is always the beginning of something different. Depression is not always loud. Sometimes it is 10 quiet signs that nobody around you can see, but you can see them now, and that changes something. Before you go, I want to ask you something. Out of these 10 signs, which one felt most personally recognizable? Which one finally gave language to something you've been carrying without a name? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video reached something in you that rarely gets reached, subscribe. Hit the bell icon. There's more here that was made for you.